If you lie awake at night thinking, I should be further ahead by now, this is for you. You are not crazy for feeling behind, but if you do not change how you are living, that feeling will become your reality. Let me show you what to do before it is too late. I speak to you now as a student of success, a man who has spent over a quarter of a century analyzing the great fortunes built in this world, not to gather tips, but to define immutable laws. My first and most urgent warning to you is this. You are not too late, but you do not have time to waste. If you are listening to this message, whether you are in your 20s feeling adrift, your 30s wondering where the years went, or your 40s and beyond, facing a career and financial panic, you are still standing on the same ground as every other successful man, the power of the present moment. Your past is irrelevant, save for the lessons it offers. The reason you feel behind is simple. You lack a definite chief aim. Until you establish a fixed, burning desire and a clear destination, your energy will dissipate, and every day will feel like running in place. We are not going to talk about motivation. We are going to start creating the internal power needed to achieve a success so powerful it erases all memory of delay. You feel behind because you've been running someone else's race, or worse, running in place. You have served the aims of others, followed the instruction of those who are themselves servants, and allowed circumstance to dictate your pace. This ends now. It is time to burn the bridges behind you and commit to one clear destination before indifference makes that feeling of being behind permanent. The starting point of all achievement is desire, not merely hoping, not wishing, not praying, but a deep, persistent, white-hot, definite desire that consumes all other thoughts. This is the ignition switch. Without this burning, committed desire, you will quit when the first temporary defeat arrives, and you will find yourself right back where you started, feeling even further behind. The man who delays his start in life often believes he must begin with a full plan, a large sum of money, or a high degree of confidence. This is false. All great achievements begin in the same way, with an overwhelming, consuming, and definite desire for something specific. The greatest tragedy is not failing, but failing to define what you wanted in the first place. If you cannot name it, the universe cannot deliver it. If you have wasted years, you must now harness the energy of that regret and forge it into the unyielding iron of definiteness of purpose. You cannot afford to approach this like a casual hobby. This must be the supreme, singular objective of your remaining life. The intense emotional energy generated by a burning desire is the only force capable of bridging the chasm between your current lack of achievement and your future mastery. Do not confuse this with mere daydreaming. This is the controlled release of mental power. The clarity of your definite chief aim will organize every action and eliminate the scattering of energy that has plagued your past. Every moment of indecision is a vote cast for the life you seek to escape. Your first victory must be over your own vagueness. Your ability to hold this one fixed image of desire in your mind, to the exclusion of all other conflicting ideas, is the litmus test of your commitment. A genuine burning desire is a promise whispered to the infinite, and the infinite is bound to respond. If the desire is lukewarm, the response will be cold. Consider the story of Edwin C. Barnes. Most men hear the name of Thomas Edison and think of electrical genius. Barnes heard that name and developed a burning desire to become Edison's partner, not just a casual associate, and definitely not merely an employee. Barnes had no money. He looked like a tramp. He certainly had no specialized knowledge of electricity. Yet he traveled to Edison's laboratory, declared his intent, and refused to be brushed aside. Did Edison say, "Welcome, partner"? No. Barnes was given the chance to work in menial, unimportant capacities. But Barnes did not take the job as a laborer. He took it as a means to an end. He did not waver from his definite chief aim for 5 years, enduring the ridicule of others, until the opportunity to partner with Edison finally arrived. This demonstrates the immense practical power of a definite, relentless desire. Barnes proved that a man can succeed, even if he starts late, starts poor and starts without the requisite knowledge, so long as he possesses desire backed by definiteness. His story is not about luck. It is about the cosmic law that energy follows thought, provided that thought is intense enough. You must make your goal a necessity, not a preference. The moment your definite chief aim takes root, your subconscious mind begins the work of transmutation, preparing the path for your success before your physical body ever takes a step. Your job is to keep that desire white hot, impervious to the cold logic of the doubters. You must also understand that the true power of desire is not found in the getting, but in the being, the new identity you assume when you relentlessly pursue that one great aim. This pursuit organizes your entire character. Your first and most important action is to stop wishing and start defining. Stop saying, I want to be rich, or I want to be successful, and be as definite as a chemist measuring a formula. The absence of a fixed goal is the chief reason for failure in life. You must stop drifting. The process of converting vague desire into its material equivalent begins with the 6 definite practical steps. This is not philosophy. This is the procedure every successful man has followed, whether he knew the names of the laws or not. Step 1. Fix the exact amount or definition. Be definite about the goal, especially the financial one. Do not just say, I want plenty of money, or I want a decent career. State the exact amount of money you intend to possess. If your aim is a career, define the exact position, the salary, and the responsibilities you intend to hold. The mind demands a clear target. A vague aim produces a vague outcome, and your time is now too valuable for guesswork. Step 2. Determine the price. Establish what you intend to give in return. You must give before you can receive. What is the value of the service, time, or knowledge you are prepared to render for the money or the position you demand? Everything has a price. Success is not free. This price may be money, time, or service. But for many of you, the price is the immediate sacrifice of the negative habits, toxic associations, and mental inertia that have kept you behind. This means giving up the comfort of the familiar for the uncertainty of growth. Step 3. Set the date. Establish a definite date, a firm deadline when you intend to possess the goal. Without a deadline, desire remains a wish, drifting without anchor. The pressure of the deadline forces your subconscious mind to work overtime. This deadline must be respected. It is a point of no return. Step 4. Create the plan and start now. Form a definite practical plan for carrying out your desire, and begin putting this plan into immediate action at once, regardless of whether you feel ready or whether the plan seems perfect. The lack of an immediate starting point is the most common reason late starters never move at all. You must accept imperfection now to achieve perfection later. The act of movement, however small, generates momentum and attracts the cooperation of the universe. Step 5. Write it down. Create a clear, concise written statement encompassing all 4 previous steps. Your statement must define the exact amount of money or the specific goal, the deadline, the service you will render, and the plan you will use. This inscription is a contract you make with yourself and the universe. It solidifies the idea and makes it an undeniable objective reality. Step 6. Read aloud twice daily. Read the statement aloud once just before retiring at night and once upon arising in the morning. As you read, you must consciously see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of the money or the goal. This final step is the most critical and the most often ignored. You are not merely reading words, you are delivering instructions backed by emotional conviction to the vast power of your subconscious mind. If you skip this process, you are admitting that your desire is weak, and I assure you, a weak desire will never overcome the decades of accumulated bad habits and negative circumstances you now face. The time for vague hoping is over. Start your new life today by writing your definite chief aim. Now that you have written your definite chief aim, you must immediately address the most damaging obstacle that keeps late starters feeling behind, the paralyzing feeling of being too late or being doomed to mediocrity. This is just negative thought taking root in your subconscious mind, a failure consciousness that must be replaced with a success consciousness. You cannot hope to erase 20 or 30 years of self-doubt and bad programming with simple effort. You must use a mechanism that directly influences the only source of power you have, the subconscious mind. That mechanism is the application of faith through autosuggestion. Faith is not an abstract religious concept in the context of riches. It is the visualization of and belief in the attainment of desire. Faith is the essential link between the human mind and the power of the infinite. The most successful men are those who learned how to induce the state of faith. Remember, faith is the state of mind where belief becomes certain conviction, unshakable by external doubt or internal regret. It is the antidote to the fear of failure that crippled you in the past. You must understand that your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between an impulse of thought voluntarily created and one that is absorbed from external sources. Therefore, you must control the inputs. The subconscious mind is a silent partner, ready to carry out the commands given to it, provided those commands are charged with faith and repetition. This is the secret mechanism of all miracles of achievement. This alignment is the spiritual foundation of all success. To achieve success, you must believe you deserve it and that it is already accomplished in the spiritual realm. The decades you lost resulted from the passive acceptance of fear. Your redemption starts with the aggressive imposition of belief. Consider the tragedy I studied, the temporary defeat of my own son, Blair. He was born without hearing. Most would see this as a permanent handicap, a reason to feel perpetually behind or limited. But I filled Blair's mind with a burning desire to hear, backed by my unshakable faith and his own autosuggestion. This desire, backed by faith, did not merely lead him to hear eventually. It led him to dedicate his life to hearing technology, demonstrating how desire, backed by faith, can push reason aside and turn a handicap into a purposeful, financially compensating asset. The lesson here is profound. A definite aim combined with faith can literally reprogram your reality, changing a perceived weakness into a source of power. You must apply this principle to your own history of delay. Your past defeats are not chains. They are the evidence you use to reprogram your mind for the necessary correction. The power of autosuggestion bypasses the conscious, doubting mind, the one that always tells you it's too late, and speaks directly to the creative engine beneath. Your greatest asset is the power to control what enters your subconscious mind. Your past has filled it with failure consciousness, thoughts such as I am too old, I wasted my chance, I cannot compete, I am not smart enough. You have allowed these thoughts to become commands. Your mind acts only upon thoughts that have been well mixed with emotion or feeling. A simple thought, uncharged by emotion, has little power. But when you charge your definite chief aim, Step 5, with the emotion of faith, a genuine belief that you already possess, your subconscious mind accepts this new command as fact and immediately begins generating the plans and opportunities necessary to realize it. This is why the daily ritual of reading your statement must be done with intensity, urgency, and absolute conviction. Autosuggestion, when properly utilized, becomes the spiritual drill that cuts through the hard rock of accumulated doubt and negative inertia. Action Step 1. Master the emotional element. Realize that when you perform Step 6, reading your aim aloud, the words themselves are less important than the emotion you attach to them. Focus on generating the feeling of absolute certainty, the feeling that the goal is already yours. This is the application of faith. Action Step 2. Visualize possessing the goal. During the 2 daily readings, close your eyes and concentrate until you can actually see the physical appearance of the desired outcome and believe you already possess it. If your aim is money, see it physically. If your aim is a position, see yourself occupying the office. Use your mind to deceive your subconscious into believing the reality is already complete. This mental rehearsal must be done with the same precision and detail you would use when reading a balance sheet. Every detail you furnish makes the command clearer. Action step 3. Apply the self-confidence formula. The greatest enemy of the late starter is their lack of courage, which stems from the fear of past failure. Use autosuggestion to build courage and self-reliance by implementing the self-confidence formula. First, concentrate 30 minutes daily on creating a clear, definitive mental picture of the person you intend to become, the man or woman who has already achieved this great aim. Second, devote 10 minutes daily to demanding the development of self-confidence through your affirmations. The repetition of this formula forces the positive impulses into the subconscious, overriding the negative history you carry. Action step 4. Eliminate negative beliefs. Recognize the absolute truth. Thoughts of poverty or failure are not harmless musings. They are negative stimuli picked up by the subconscious and translated into their physical equivalent, the reality of failure. You must consciously shut off all negative impulses. Refuse to read, listen to, or tolerate the voices of those who preach impossible. That word is reserved only for the uncommitted. You must become the gatekeeper of your own mind, fiercely protecting it from all seeds of doubt. The subconscious mind is the connecting link between your finite mind and infinite intelligence. By programming it with the conviction of your definite chief aim, backed by the emotion of faith, you are no longer relying on luck or chance. You are aligning yourself with the universal laws that command success. You must apply this daily, because your daily feeling of being behind is nothing more than the result of a mind that has been passively programmed for defeat. You must replace the inertia of doubt with the momentum of belief. If you feel held back, your methods are likely flawed or outdated. Now that your mind is focused with desire and charged with faith, you must use the workshop of your mind imagination to form a practical plan and acquire the specialized knowledge necessary to execute it. A man with a definite aim and the faith to achieve it is still powerless without an organized plan. This is the crystallization of desire into action. You need a blueprint. Without a plan, the most intense desire is merely wasted energy, like a steam engine operating without tracks. You must transform the vague mental impulse into tangible, sequential steps that your physical body can execute daily. This is the practical link between mind and matter. The greater your sense of being behind, the more detail must go into your plan, as organization is the substitute for wasted time and unearned experience. The greatest men I studied, Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, were not men of boundless theoretical knowledge, but men of boundless imagination. They used their minds to create new ideas and new arrangements. They understood that all human creation begins as an impulse of thought translated into an image and then into a physical reality. You must stop viewing your imagination as a tool for daydreaming and start treating it as the architect of your future. Imagination is the faculty through which finite man may communicate directly with infinite intelligence, allowing you to synthesize new ideas and breakthroughs. Since you have less time to experiment, your initial plan must be a product of intense imaginative effort, synthesizing the best practices of successful people who came before you. Do not invent the wheel. Invent the better process for using the wheel. Action step 1. Use imagination to create plans. You have two types of imagination. Synthetic imagination takes old ideas and concepts and arranges them into new plans. Creative imagination gives you hunches and flashes of inspiration. The late starter must first rely on synthetic imagination. Stop waiting for a brilliant new idea. Instead, look at what is already working in the world and use your synthetic imagination to arrange those old ideas into a new, efficient plan for realizing your definite aim. Analyze successful models and adapt them fearlessly. Dedicate specific time each week to this process of arrangement and combination, treating it as a formal meeting with yourself. This process of using your mental workshop is the true difference between the thinker and the mere laborer. Action step 2. Acquire specialized knowledge strategically. The late starter often despairs, thinking I lack the education or skills. But the man who needs riches does not need to fill his mind with useless general knowledge. He needs specialized knowledge directly related to his definite chief aim. First, determine what specific knowledge is needed for your aim. Second, seek it from the most reliable and efficient sources, dedicated mastermind alliances, specialized courses, or self-study of great books. Understand that success is attained not by what you know, but by your ability to organize and direct men who possess the knowledge you need. The college degree is only one avenue. Continuous, purposeful learning is the way of success. If you feel behind, you cannot spend years accumulating generalized facts. You must laser focus on the specific knowledge that increases your market value immediately. This is the secret of leverage. The fastest route to specialized knowledge is always through a carefully chosen mastermind ally. Your lack of formal schooling is irrelevant. Your willingness to organize existing knowledge into a definitive service is everything. Action step 3. Market your service for a high start. Do not make the fatal mistake of aiming to start at the bottom, as the outlook from there discourages ambition, wastes years, and cripples your faith. Concentrate on figuring out what you can offer that immediately adds value. You are not selling hours, you are selling results and definite ideas. The tragic story of the modern man is that he sells his time and strength for the lowest possible price because he fails to present his service as a definite contribution to the aims of others. The man who starts at the bottom is mentally programmed for low expectations. You must shift your presentation from "What can I do for money?" to "How can my specific plan solve your most pressing problem?" I recall the story of the woman who created a personal service sales plan for her son. She knew he lacked executive experience. Instead of sending him out to beg for a low-level job, she and her son gathered specialized knowledge about a prospective employer's business, outlined a precise plan for him to contribute immediate value, and presented it in a detailed, organized brief. This planned presentation allowed him to start as a junior executive, circumventing a decade of working from the bottom up. This power is available to the late starter because it depends on thought and organization, not on years of wasted labor. Your value is not determined by your age or your past, but by the definiteness and quality of the plan you present. Action step 4, develop a written brief. Dedicate 30 minutes today to using your imagination to brainstorm a novel plan for monetizing your specialized knowledge or acquiring the missing knowledge needed for your goal. Then, commit to preparing a detailed brief or plan outlining your qualifications, your confidence, and a specific plan of action that demonstrates exactly how you will benefit your prospective client or employer. The man who presents a plan is treated as an asset. The man who presents only a resume is treated as a liability. You must transform yourself from a job seeker into a valuable asset who is offering a solution. The blueprint is where your desire becomes physical. Do not let your past inertia be an excuse for your present lack of a plan. The work of organizing your knowledge and imagination must begin today. The clock is always running, and every moment spent without a written plan is a victory for the life you seek to escape. I must pause here to address you plainly. This information, if applied, is the key to escaping the feeling of being behind forever. However, I know the world is filled with noise and distraction, which makes the sustained effort required for success nearly impossible. My life's work was to organize these laws so that you may build your own success faster than I did. If you find this message clarifying your path, do not let it pass. Make a decision now to use this channel as your mental ally and resource. Hit the button below and subscribe. You are building a mental powerhouse here, and the greatest power comes from organized, continuous effort which we provide here. Now, let us move to the laws of movement and sustained effort. The difference between feeling behind and achieving greatness is often just the distance between "I will try" and "I have decided." You must master the habit of delaying and cultivate the relentless tenacity required to overcome the inevitable defeats on the road to success. The most common characteristic among the thousands of failures I studied was their habit of procrastination and their slowness to reach a firm decision. Conversely, men who accumulate fortunes reach decisions promptly and change them slowly. The slowness to decide is always, without exception, the result of being easily influenced by the opinions of others. Indecision is not merely a bad habit. It is the seedling of fear that crystallizes into doubt. The longer you put off making a decision, the more time you give fear to convince you that the effort is not worth the risk. The late starter knows this pain well. The decisions he delayed in his 20s are the obstacles he faces in his 40s. Indecision is the chief cause of that feeling of being perpetually behind. It is the failure to assume the responsibility of judgment. You must recognize that action, even if imperfect, is the only bridge between desire and attainment. The delay of one day is the waste of a year. Because inertia feeds upon itself, you must stop asking for opinions and start seeking counsel. Opinions scatter power, while counsel focuses it. This mastery of prompt decision is the mark of a leader, and you are here to become a leader of your own life. Action step 1. Cultivate prompt decision. From this moment forward, form the habit of making a firm decision on any matter requiring immediate attention. Even if the decision is imperfect, it is better than the paralysis of indecision. The man who is slow to decide is broadcasting to the world and to his own subconscious that he lacks confidence in his own judgment. Decision is the highest form of courage. You must learn to trust your internal commands, for they are directed by your definite chief aim. Action step 2. Conquer procrastination with action. The only true opposite of procrastination is decision, backed by immediate action. Form the habit of doing the most distasteful or difficult task first thing in the morning. Do not wait for the time to be right. Do not wait for all the facts. Start immediately. The moment of commitment is the moment you overcome the gravitational pull of yesterday's inaction. You must break the cycle of delay by forcing a rhythm of immediate, calculated movement. The law of cosmic habit force rewards rhythm, not randomness. Only continuous, purposeful movement will yield results. The daily repetition of tasks, no matter how small, builds the momentum necessary to achieve the great ones. The road to your definite chief aim will be paved with what I call temporary defeats. Every successful man has met them. The great men simply treat defeat as a learning opportunity, while the quitter treats it as final failure. If you have already failed in life, you possess the most valuable education of all, the knowledge of what will not work. You must view temporary defeat not as a signal to quit, but as feedback that your plan needs adjustment. I want you to remember the infamous story of R.U. Darby's uncle, who was caught up in the gold rush. He struck a rich vein, but lost it due to a fault line. He sold his equipment for a pittance to a junk man and quit. That junk man hired an engineer who pointed out that the gold was only 3 feet from where the original miner quit. That single decision to quit 3 feet from gold cost him a fortune. Darby learned a painful lesson and applied it to his later career in insurance, adopting the motto, "I will never stop because men say no." Thomas Edison, a man who met 10,000 temporary defeats before perfecting the light bulb, understood this law better than any. He did not quit on attempt 9,999 because he knew that failure only means there is something wrong with the plan, not the purpose. His success was not genius. It was persistence applied to organized knowledge. Action step 3. Follow the 4 persistence steps. You must back your definite purpose and plan with continuous action. 1. A definite purpose backed by a burning desire. 2. A definite plan expressed in continuous action. 3. A mind shielded against all negative and discouraging influences. 4. A friendly alliance with encouragers. Mastermind. Discussed next. Persistence is the direct measure of your faith. Without it, your definite chief aim is merely an uncharged thought impulse. Action step 4. Replan after defeat. Recognize that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It only means there is something wrong with your plan. Build a new plan and start over immediately, without quitting. The most successful men are simply those who have the greatest capacity to replan after defeat. The only thing that defines failure is the decision to quit. Your decision to never quit must be absolute. Place the mantra, "A quitter never wins and a winner never quits," where you see it daily. Your delay has created inertia, and only relentless action can overcome it. The power of persistence is an internal discipline that forces the universe to yield. If you have been held back by a toxic environment, critical relatives, or weak-willed friends, the mastermind principle is your only cure. You cannot rise if your mental feeding ground is poisoned. No man succeeds in a vacuum. Power, in its highest form, comes from organized, cooperative effort. That is the mastermind principle. The power of the mastermind is simply this. When two or more people coordinate their knowledge and effort in a spirit of perfect harmony toward a definite end, they generate a third, invisible force, a spiritual dynamic that is far greater than the sum of their individual efforts. The coordinated effort of two minds in harmony creates a powerful third mind, the mastermind, that you can utilize to overcome any shortage in your own knowledge or experience. You must understand that this alliance is the economical use of time and power, essential for the late starter who has no hours to waste. This collective power, born of harmony, is the only practical way to acquire all the necessary specialized knowledge and experience you may lack due to your late start. Andrew Carnegie's genius was not in the chemistry of steel, but in his ability to gather a harmonious mastermind group, a cabinet of men whose coordinated effort and specialized knowledge created an enormous synergistic power. This energy allowed them to build an empire that would have been impossible for any single man. This synergistic power is the stepping up process that turns modest effort into massive fortune. Carnegie proved that your fortune is limited only by the number of minds you can harmonize for your definite aim. This principle is the practical application of the spiritual law that unity creates strength. The late starter must use the mastermind not as a luxury, but as the mandatory power source to generate accelerated results. Action step 1. Form a mastermind alliance. Ally yourself with 1 to 3 individuals who are friendly and harmonious and will encourage you to follow through with both your plan and purpose. They must believe in your aim and be willing to contribute their specialized knowledge or moral support. Choose your allies based on their character and their willingness to operate in harmony, not merely on their wealth or status. The goal is a blending of minds, not just a casual meeting. Action step 2. Demand perfect harmony. Insist on perfect harmony within this alliance. A single sour, critical, or jealous voice can destroy the mastermind force. The energy required to overcome friction is better spent on advancing your plan. Any form of internal conflict or disloyalty instantly dissolves the spiritual power of the mastermind. This principle is absolute. You must be prepared to sever ties with anyone who violates this sacred bond. The preservation of harmony is more important than the retention of any single member. Action step 3. Control your environment and mental input. Your daily environment, the books you read, the news you consume, and especially the people you associate with, is the mental feeding ground for your mind. If you are constantly exposed to negativity, doubt, and criticism, your brain will absorb this poison and feed it to your subconscious. Recognize that your circle is either an asset or a liability. Shield yourself against negative and discouraging influences, especially critical friends or relatives who believe they are protecting you from disappointment. They are, in fact, only protecting you from success. The toxic environment you live in is directly responsible for the years you feel you have lost. You must cut off the source of the poison. The quickest way to change your consciousness is to change your environment. Action step 4. Master the ghost of fear. The mastermind principle is useless if your mind is crippled by the 6 basic fears: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. The two most relevant to the late starter are poverty and criticism. These fears cause timidity, delay, and lack of ambition. You must understand that these fears are merely ghosts, existing only in your mind, products of unexamined thought. Analyze them, write them down, and understand their source. Then, replace them with thoughts of faith and courage. You must become a ruthless self-analyst, eliminating the mental debris of fear that has allowed you to procrastinate and feel behind. Fear is the worst enemy of the late starter because it magnifies past mistakes and paralyzes present action. You must drive out the ghost. Action. Consciously evaluate your 5 closest associates based on whether they inspire enthusiasm or criticism. If they feed you doubt, you must limit your exposure to them immediately. Schedule the first harmonious meeting or focused conversation with the one person you trust the most to act as your mastermind ally. The time for tolerating negativity is over. Your future depends on the health of your mental input. The immediate command, the redemption of time, and the law of perpetual motion have been given the road map. We have covered the 5 essential pillars of success necessary to transcend the feeling of being behind. 1. Desire and definite chief aim. You must know what you want and demand it through the 6 steps. 2. Faith and autosuggestion. You must reprogram your mind to eliminate failure consciousness and believe you already possess your goal. 3. Organized planning and knowledge. You must build a written blueprint and acquire the specialized knowledge necessary to execute it, not waiting to start at the bottom. 4. Decision and persistence. You must conquer the paralysis of delay by making prompt decisions and adopting the motto of the winner, I will never stop. 5. Master mind and fear mastery. You must control your environment, alliance, and mental state to generate the power of harmonious effort. The only thing you truly control is your state of mind. Riches respond only to definite plans, backed by definite desires, through constant persistence. The story of the late starter is not a tragedy. It is merely a man who needed to learn the rules later than others. Success is not about winning a lottery or receiving a stroke of luck. It is about learning the immutable laws of nature and applying them with precision. You have been provided with the tools to build your destiny. Think of your mind as a construction site. By applying these principles, you are no longer passively waiting for an opportunity to stumble upon you. You are actively welding the future structure, link by organizational link, making sure that your foundation is firm and your blueprint is sound. Now let us turn to the final command, the redemption of time and the law of perpetual motion. You feel the pressure of lost years, and I understand that feeling. It is a terrible burden to carry the weight of regret for decisions postponed and potential left unclaimed. But I tell you now that regret is not a permanent sentence. It is fuel. The law states that nature abhors a vacuum. When you apply the power of these laws with the same intensity that a younger man would use over 10 years, the universe will respond with accelerated velocity. You will achieve more in the next 2 years of organized effort than you did in the last 20 years of drift. The true tragedy is not the time you have lost, but the power you possess to redeem it, a power that remains unused. The late starter possesses a unique advantage, the memory of the pain of procrastination. This memory, properly channeled, becomes a relentless driving force. You know exactly what happens if you delay one more day. The memory of that failure is the fire under your feet. You must accept this final, critical truth. The universe does not reward age. It rewards alignment. If you are 40 years of age, you have potentially 30 years of productive life remaining. The average man who retired rich began his definite journey in his mid to late 30s. You are not behind the curve of success. You are merely late to the starting line. Your immediate, disciplined action will wipe out the debt of your past inaction. Your redemption will be found in 2 areas. First, the ruthless elimination of inertia. You must view every hour of the day as a commodity far more precious than gold. Every moment of procrastination, every distraction, every conversation that does not contribute to your definite chief aim must be cut out with the precision of a surgeon. The man who works on a definite plan cannot afford the luxury of idle conversation, aimless consumption of news, or the habitual escape of frivolous entertainment. Your discipline must now be absolute. You must become a machine of purpose. Second, the maximization of the mastermind principle. Since you possess less time, you must immediately acquire more organized power. You must rely more heavily on the knowledge and effort of your chosen mastermind allies. You cannot afford to learn everything yourself. You must leverage the specialized knowledge of others. Commit to formal weekly sessions with your mastermind group, ensuring the spirit of perfect harmony and utilizing that collective brain power to solve the inevitable temporary defeats that arise. This alliance is your time machine, allowing you to compress decades of single-minded labor into years of coordinated power. The path to your great achievement is not a single leap. It is a series of precise, daily, disciplined steps. When you lie down tonight, you must know that you have either advanced toward your aim or drifted away from it. There is no neutral ground. The power of autosuggestion must become a relentless, positive force. You must not only read your aim aloud, but you must constantly affirm your new identity. I am the man who commands my destiny. My age is my asset, for it has gifted me the wisdom of experience. I move with relentless speed toward my definite aim. Do not wait for certainty to arrive before you act. The clarity you seek will only arrive after you have made the decision and taken the first firm step. Decision creates certainty. Certainty does not create decision. The man who is waiting for the perfect moment is waiting for failure. Your moment is now. The man who follows these laws is the man who truly commands his life. He dictates the terms to the world. He stops serving the fear of poverty and starts directing the forces of abundance. You possess within you the power to erase every regret, redeem every lost year, and build a fortune not just of money, but of purpose and self-command that will leave a legacy for generations. Let me introduce the final truth that unites every one of these principles, the law of perpetual motion. Everything in the universe is in constant motion, and the man who directs his thought aligns himself with this force. If your thought is definite, persistent, and directed by faith, you create a positive, powerful current that attracts its material equivalent. If your thought is vague, fearful, and indecisive, you create a negative current that repels success and reinforces the inertia of your past. Your life is not static. It is always moving, either toward your aim or away from it. The feeling you carry, the pain of being behind, is your body's spiritual alarm clock. It is telling you that the stream of your consciousness is currently running backward. To reverse the current, you must generate a new, powerful momentum through the daily application of the 6 steps, the 30-minute concentration, and the unyielding decision to persist. You cannot afford to treat this as intellectual curiosity. You must treat this as a matter of survival, as if your very life depended on the successful execution of your plan. For indeed, the life you desire does depend upon it. The universe is not mocked. It pays only in the coin you demand, provided you back that demand with the specific service and the unshakable faith I have outlined. Your past is simply accumulated momentum, a momentum of indecision, passive input, and scattered desire. The good news is that the laws of nature are entirely indifferent to history. They respond only to the present force you generate. You are standing at the absolute center of power, which is the present moment. Your failure to act now is not weakness. It is a tragic misunderstanding of the power you wield in this instant. Understand that success is not something to be pursued. It is something to be attracted by the person you become. By applying these laws daily, you are not merely working for money. You are molding a new identity, the identity of the master. And once that identity is established in your subconscious mind, the outer world must conform. The money, the opportunities, The mastermind allies, they will be drawn to you as metal filings are drawn to a magnet because you have obeyed the immutable law of attraction based on definite, emotionalized thought. This is your final opportunity to seize the reins of command. Look at your life not as a history of regret, but as a laboratory of experience that has now shown you precisely what not to do. Use that wisdom. Convert that pain into the fierce, concentrated energy required to achieve your aims. Your destiny is not written by chance. It is written by the laws of your mind, laws that you have just been taught to master. Go forth and begin the work of creation, for the time is short and the reward is absolute freedom. If you have made a definite chief aim today, then you must seal that commitment with action. I command you now, go to the comments below and write down the definite date you have set for the attainment of your aim. Publish your decision for the world to witness. This is the final act of decision that guarantees no retreat. If this message has struck you with the force of truth, I urge you to share it immediately. There is a man or woman in your life who feels the same pressure, the same regret of delay. Send this video to them and begin your Mastermind Alliance today by committing to these principles together. You may feel the pressure of the years you lost, but I promise you, the speed and power of these laws, once harnessed, will make up for the time you wasted. The greatest shame is not having started late, but refusing to begin now. You are not too late. Start now. This channel walks with you.